Welcome to the Hockey Hub. Sophia and Kasey here with you on this Friday. It is a jam-packed show, Kasey. You know, I usually love shooting the breeze with you, but not today. All right, we're not catching up today.
No.
Yeah, can't be shooting the breeze. We have Ryan McDonell of the Shoresy, who plays Michaels and Shoresy. He's going to be on our show because the Shoresy Classic is on Sunday, which I know you're trying to go to, so we'll talk about that. We also have Kristy Flannery of the Hockey News covering the Devils, and she's going to help preview this game that's going to happen tomorrow against the Boston Bruins. But we're going to kind of get right into it. The Bruins coming off of a 5-2 win against the Blues. They're seeing them again on Tuesday, so not exactly a home and home, but still pretty close together. We'll set that, you and Adam will set that game up on Monday. But last night, a big win for them. And even more importantly, even more recent, we have some breaking news from Warrior because Charlie McAvoy spoke. And so we definitely want to hear about that and his journey. And David Pastrnak was skating on his own ahead of the team, but all good things. So before we throw to it, let me get your quick thoughts on the development of this team, the progress of the injuries, and last night's win.
Oh my gosh, last night's win, and I know people are going to kind of try to be dampers on it because they're like, it's just the Blues. Like, the Blues haven't played all that well. They had some notable close games and some notable wins. I mean, they kept it extremely low scoring, 1-0 versus the Mammoth, who's a pretty hot team. Then they've had a number of overtime games as well. So I feel like every win, you're excited just to see how they rack it up, but also the style in which they are able to collect that W. I mean, Alex Steeves is all the talk right now, Morgan Geekie on top of that. And I think my favorite takeaway from all of it is not only the big win that they were able to successfully pull off in every unit possible, but it's the tweets that come out. You know, I always go stalking on Twitter and see what people are chatting about, and it's the Olympic eyebrows that are raising, and I got my Olympic sweater on today. Maybe the wrong one, because we're tweeting about Morgan Geekie making a case to be on the Olympic team. So definitely an exciting win, and this is the form and the fashion you want to see them bounce back in, especially when they have games that are just very much not up to par with the identity and the culture that is being so beautifully established here.
No, yesterday was awesome, and I know it's not going to be like that every game. It's still a long way to go, but I love seeing these flashes that you're talking about. So speaking of the Olympics, obviously Charlie McAvoy, in terms of first world problems, in terms of sports stories, tragedy last year for him, leaving the Four Nations, it was such a big deal to him, especially U.S. versus Canada. And he said that he was so vocal about that. He wants to be in it, but he's got to put some weight back on. Bridget Prue tweeting, and we're going to hear from McAvoy in just a second, but that he's only been able to eat liquid food, so he's not going to be able to eat solids for another 3-ish weeks, which is crazy. Lots to talk about there. I know you have some brothers that had to put on weight, athletes, so we can get into that. But
stories.
Let's hear from McAvoy. Let's hear from McAvoy, fresh of this morning, on what this journey's been like since his injury.
How do you feel strength-wise when you're on the ice?
Yeah, I got to get that back. That's definitely tough. With the lost weight, like, you feel like weak, and energy is kind of tough to come by. Like, I lost close to 20 pounds. Like, in the first week and a half there. So, like, yeah, it's a shock to your body. And then trying to get it back now, like, while getting out there, doing more than I've done in a while and trying to have energy highs. That's been, like, where we're trying to play catch up a little bit.
Losing 20 pounds in less than 3 weeks is wild. Like, that is just not easy for your body to do, even if you're not an athlete, and then you're an athlete now, and now you're trying to flip it. Like, now you're doing this, like, whole swing back. I love to see him smiling. I loved his reaction there. But your thoughts, you can bring in your brothers if you want on just this whole process, because that's not easy.
No, it's not. And, like, considering the many facets to this, so for one, to think that he lost 20 pounds, that just tells you what his caloric intake potentially looked like, because you're talking about hockey already being a sport where guys have to try to maintain muscle that they put on in the off season. And then more importantly, look at the time frame of everything. So, like, you're talking about a guy with his eye on the Olympics, but obviously wants to get back into this Bees lineup and make an impact, or, you know, reinsert the impact he was already making. And when you're trying to get even 5 to 10 pounds of good, healthy muscle on your body, that's a lot. So for him to get the muscle back, do it in a healthy capacity, and then make sure it doesn't affect his skating and like everything that makes him a quality skater and hitter, that's going to be stressful. And I know that because, as you mentioned, my brothers, like when they changed the system for my brother, and anyone who doesn't know, he played football, college, and at the NFL. When he had to switch from defensive end to defensive tackle and go from being a solid 270 to 305, that's what his coach wanted him at. It was torture for him. He couldn't figure out how to get the calories in, to the point where he was physically sick. There was times that like my brother would be physically ill trying to get the calories in. So it's a bit of a road ahead. I mean, luckily nowadays there's better nutrition, there's better answers, there's ways to kind of have like the dense protein shakes, because he can't do the solid form of anything. So he can try to like overpack it with you know, shakes, but that gets tiring too, and trying to hold that down is a tough task. So a bit of an adventure ahead. Just hopefully he can get close as possible to 10 pounds, maybe even 12, do it in a healthy manner, and it doesn't affect anything else when he gets back to skating, because he looked good yesterday. We saw some clips of him on the ice.
Yeah, he did, and he was smiling. It was so good for the team to have him back. But no, such a process to put on that weight in a timely manner, and like you said, in a healthy way. He's having liquid food now, so I'm sure he's having those smoothies. Like, you're probably going to be sick of that, but I guess continue when you bring in solid food. But that's a big number to come back to, and we have to remember he's lost that weight and he hasn't been skating. Like, he's been stationary, so you're losing that weight, and then imagine when you start skating and you're burning the crazy calories that they do, and to keep that up, like he's been skating, but I'm saying not in like in hockey games, not in the same output, right? So
no, it's totally
anyway,
still different. Because you know me, I'm a skating nerd. I skate at Warrior at once or twice a week, and like the Thanksgiving weight, I felt that just a little bit. I felt the little extra Thanksgiving pounds, just a smidge. So it's a bit of a task.
Did you feel it when you were skating though? Did you feel it like either like, oh, like you're feeling you shed a little bit, or did you feel that it was harder to skate because you just put on a couple pounds?
No, the couple pounds, because like when you're trying to manipulate your edges and not overcommit and like have your foot in the right space and stuff, the extra weight can kind of overshift you when you're going edge to edge, or, you know, having your foot go from the ball of your toe to your heel a little bit, all these other little factors. But like I said, 5 Thanksgiving pounds I felt, so hats off to Charlie.
Yeah, no, we're obviously gonna stay on top of that story. I love that he was talking to the media, which means he can talk, which is great. I was so worried about his jaw, and we're obviously gonna get updates about him. Once again, if you're just tuning in, David Pastrnak was also skating for the first time since he left with an undisclosed injury, but on his own, not with the team. So we'll continue to follow that story. But let's go back to last night. We're gonna highlight Alex Steeves, someone who was called up and then now has worked his way onto the first line and is producing on the first line. Has the team's only shorthanded goal. That wasn't yesterday, but he had a shorthanded opportunity. 6 goals. He's just, what Brick said on our show, he said he's playing with the confidence like I belong in the NHL, and then he's showing that he does. And I know that seems like a pretty simple sentence, but I know you understand that it's like you might belong in the NHL but not feel the confidence or the swag and, you know, show that or take those opportunities. He's doing both, and he's earned a spot on the top line.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I feel like a number of guys, especially when they're trying to make that case for themselves and they end up getting, you know, called back and forth between the AHL and the NHL, you get a little bit of an imposter syndrome. Like when you try to credit guys for the skill that they have and how far they've come in their career, it's still not enough because they want to be able to find that consistency at the highest level possible, being the NHL. So I think it's perfectly put, as you said it, like him having this confidence, and it doesn't surprise me whatsoever because I looked back at some quotes that he had when he was in Toronto and he ended up becoming a free agent, and it wasn't frustration, it wasn't disdain, it was just more so like, if only they had given me more of an opportunity, I feel like I would have capitalized on it. So to say that then, which is like roughly a year ago, and then to have this opportunity now, the most NHL games he's been presented to play, and of course it comes at the helm of injuries, but still he's making a strong case that he belongs here, and regardless of who comes back healthy, you're going to want to keep a guy like Steeves in your lineup. So it's been fantastic to kind of watch that his journey has progressed in the direction that he stated it could go in.
100%. Why don't we hear from Alex Steeves? He's actually also a really good quote, different than Nikita Zadorov, but like he just seems very, very well-spoken, intelligent, had a lot to say about his journey here. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as players, we get to enjoy that. Every guy is fighting tooth and nail to be an NHLer, and not everyone gets to have that opportunity. So it's really special for players to come in, and then from there, I think it's always just a testament to lots of people throughout organizations when players come in and contribute. The scouts who got them there, coaches for putting them into positions, leadership for empowering players to play their game and feel comfortable. So I think it's a sign of lots of good things when players can come in and contribute.
You think about all the guys that, the Bruins saw something in him, and a couple of injuries gave him that opportunity. But we're in this weird year where every team's getting injured. I always think about the players in the AHL that are just waiting for that opportunity and it doesn't come. And, I think about the stress of scouts watching you one day and you had a bad day. I have so many bad days on air, and maybe people do watch me and they're like, oh, maybe Sophia will work for us. And then they catch me on a bad day and they're like, yeah, she's not good. Whatever that is, right? And again, not to make it about me, but we both perform, so we understand what it feels like when you have a bad day. And then you're like, you're out of someone's mind forever. They're like, you're not going back. And I think about him, if he didn't get this opportunity with the injuries, he's obviously making the most of them, but how many guys are kind of waiting for that and it doesn't happen? And anyway, that just makes me sad. That was a bit of a tangent, but I'm glad he's making the most.
But it's true because considering some of the slumps or some of the moments that the Bruins have gone through that haven't lived up to the initial hype of starting the season 3-0, the first thing that fans go to is pull up from Providence. But we've sat here and defended the fact that system is one thing, not toying with the guys' capability of playing up and then playing down. And are you going to get better repetition down there, or do you need to be up here for a certain amount of time? There's just so many factors. So I completely agree with you in the sense of it is tough. Weirdly enough, he kind of went through that, because he was just kind of buried in the AHL in Toronto, and he was just waiting for his opportunity. And I feel like he felt like he checked every box that he possibly could at that level, and then he ends up as a free agent. That should really blow your ego. And yet here he is with the prime opportunity to show that he belongs in the NHL.
I was actually just going to quote Marco Sturm for what he said about him, but we actually have that sound, so let's play it for you.
He worked his way in. He separated himself, I think, in that, if you remember training camp, in that kind of group, just the way he plays hard, plays the right way. And now he's, I think he feels really good about his game overall, and now he also finds the back of the net, so good for him.
Yeah, no, he's a great player. He's been playing really well with that line, and especially with Pastrnak, it's really important that these guys who get the chance. He's been playing great, and for us it's been a huge help, especially offensively. So we have to keep going like that, and it's great to see guys like that stepping up.
One of the other things he said to Brick in his interview, he said, Steeves is a goal scorer, and that's his identity. That's what he wants to be known as. But he focused on the difficult things first, the PK, finishing checks, using your body, puck retrieval, the things that aren't, I think he even used the word sexy hockey, the things that aren't as glamorous, aren't as sexy. And especially if you're a goal scorer, you want to show that off. But what Marco's message to the team is I want grinders. You know what Cam said, P and V, piss and vinegar. We want to be a tough team to play against. So Steeves puts his ego aside and is I'm going to do these things, then gets awarded the opportunity to go on the first line and was scoring before then, but is now kind of showing that other skill. I love that progress. I love that he wanted to do, or decided he's going to do the hard things, and then, earn that opportunity to be a goal scorer.
Yeah, funny enough, a lot of people didn't even realize that Steeves could score, because when he came in and committed to the defensive responsibility that this system requires out of you, everyone thought, okay, he can help out bottom six. There was a lot of bottom six conversation, but then I remember during training camps kind of tweeting about the fact that he had a really good preseason, and I was slightly surprised about the call down, the send down to Providence. But granted, we already knew who was going to be on that opening night roster, and he wasn't a large part of the conversation. A lot of similarities maturity-wise and perspective-wise between him and Fraser Minten in terms of handle your defensive business first, but he has the scoring touch, and he's one of those guys who has a versatility to his scoring. So you're not going to look at Alex Steeves and be like, he's got to get open, home office, left circle, right circle, whatever the case may be. No, he's doing it at all. He's charging at the net. He's got really, really, really strong handle on his stick and how he wants to score, and he's shown us a number of ways that he's going to try to make it happen. And I think what I've enjoyed about watching him is that he's a momentum guy, because he's going to attack one way or another, whether he's helping out defensively, capitalizing on turnovers that he's either creating or getting his stick on, or finding these fun ways to score, whether he's ripping it mid-range or getting up in the goalie's face safely without any sort of interference. So I feel like he just really fits the identity of where this team is going too.
Yeah, no, 100%. And as Pete Blackburn said, I think last show we had some of the bright side of having call-ups, or the bright side of injuries, I guess, is to just know what you have in your system. So come next July 1st and free agency opens up, you know, kind of more of what you need and what you're signing for. Speaking of which, 10 defensemen have now been through the Bruins system already, and we're barely even a quarter into the season. So not saying that that's what they need to go get, but these injuries are crazy. When Jordan Harris gets better, which is going to be well, Charlie McAvoy, and then hopefully David Pastrnak. Like, I can't wait to see what this team looks like once everyone's healthy, and some of the call-ups have now taken that next step. And I'll let you kind of have the final thought, and then we'll send it to break on that.
A lot of tough decisions coming up, but I feel like this is what you want in your team, and it answers the question of depth per se. So I would say that we have a lot to look forward to, and maybe not so much drama at the trade deadline. Regardless, I feel like this Bees team is shaping up to give us a lot more than we anticipated.
Totally. I can't do drama like we did from the trade deadline last year. We are not doing that again. Kasey, we're going to send it to break. We have Ryan McDonell on the other side of Shoresy. The Classic goes at TD Garden on Sunday. We're going to set that all up and talk to him about it next. Welcome back to the Hockey Hub. The Shoresy Fall Classic is stopping in Boston at the Garden in just a couple of days. That's going down on Sunday. Shoresy cast members, they're going to lace up their skates and compete against a lineup of Boston Bruins alumni, including Zdeno Chara, who's just inducted into the Hall of Fame and is probably still good enough to play in the NHL. A portion of the proceeds are benefiting the Boston Bruins Foundation. If you guys want to go, they sold out so fast last time they did this. Tickets are still on sale now, Ticketmaster.com, and we are very pleased to be joined by Ryan McDonell, who plays Michaels on Shoresy from his car. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, I know you did this. I watched some of your interviews. You did a media tour the first year you did it, and you were talking about how surreal it was. It's bigger now. Like, you're playing on garden ice. I believe last time was at Warrior, and if not, it was at a smaller arena where you had 6,500 fans. Now you're capable of having 19,000. My biggest thought is, like, you know, I read about how this came by as almost like a joke. Like, the idea was a joke and it turned into a thing. In your mind, did you ever think you'd be playing against NHL players representing a fictional character on a TV show?
That's probably the best worded question I've ever had. I'm pinching myself. My dad came to watch the last game, which was absolutely incredible. You know, really special to, like, I don't know, share those moments with people. And we're having the time of our lives. And the truth is, Boston has been the greatest hockey fandom, and they've sold the most tickets, but they're coming out. So it's like humbling. Yeah, it's super humbling to come and do this. I want all the lobster rolls. I want all of it. Yeah.
Is that the pregame meal for you on Sunday?
It might be. Yeah, I don't know. Might get chirped about that a little bit, but yeah.
Somebody's going to get on you for that. You mentioned fandom, but we do have to ask where kind of it starts for you. Like, were you an avid hockey fan growing up? And if so, who was your club and organization? And what kind of inspired you the most when it comes to hockey culture?
Well, it was always something that's just as a Canadian kid growing up. Like, I feel I've been asked this question more often than not. And I was in another hockey project before, Slapshot 3, for some of those kids that are out there. I played a goalie as well, and which is nuts to me that we're kind of circling back and, like, having the sport be a constant kind of within the storyline of some of things that I've done. So it's been like just so special. Like the fans are the best. We have the best fans, and Boston has been absolutely incredible the way that they've just embraced our show, the way they understand it. They get it. Like they got it right from the top. So it's no surprise that they're one of our biggest audiences, and it's so humbling. I'm kind of I'm a little bit lost for words sometimes, but yeah.
That's fair. This is like for me, even when
Because
I first
everyone
heard
else
about
is
this.
pro, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, and like I'm just like enjoying myself. So
As you should.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah it's so cool. Yeah.
Well, when I moved from Toronto 6 years ago, Kasey's heard this, so I'll make it quick. But just for you, like when you mentioned the fans, I worked covering the Toronto Maple Leafs for like 12 years, thinking I'm in the Mecca.
I remember.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the Mecca. I know Toronto people are so cocky. And then I come to Boston, I'm like, wait a minute. This is way more intense than anything I've ever experienced. The love, the passion, the fandom, like you were saying, the way people express themselves, the way they go up
It's a
to
sports
you.
town.
Yes, and it's so like you said, it's so humbling when they care about you, and you're like, "What? You care about me? Like this is crazy." But you're gonna get like a crazy crowd that is gonna be so fun. But hey, they love Zdeno Chara too, so I don't know who they're gonna be cheering for. How do you feel lacing up against Big Z?
I'm gonna protect my back. Like what? No, I don't even know. 7 feet versus 5 foot. I don't know. 8, I'm gonna say.
Right.
Okay, but
Big
like,
discrepancy.
just humbling. I mean, so honored. Like, and you asked earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't answer your question about like my team. I wear 19 for Michael's because of Steve Yzerman. I really loved Detroit and their dynasty that they had at the time. As a kid, it was kind of hard to like pass up, but I was a Leafs fan. I hate to say it, but yeah, I was a diehard Leafs fan, still am, and we have so many battles against each other, and I love it. I lived in Vancouver for a long time, 2010. I've seen a lot of you Boston fans, and I love it. And the truth is, it's so much respect for the sports like love that you have in that city. It really is. So I mean that like I respect that more than anything. So
That's awesome.
It's top notch, that's for sure. I gotta put you in the hot seat a little bit. If it's too hot, you let me know. But you and Shoresy were having a debate. I think it was in season 2, and he was pushing your buttons trying to get you to talk about the top 3 American players versus the top 3 Canadian players. So I'm gonna pivot that to the top 3 Shoresy members versus the top 3 alumni, either between this year or what you're looking forward to this season, if it's not too much pressure.
no. I always got to give it to Brandon Nolan.
Okay.
He can snipe one of the gyms. Gym number 2.
The
He can
gyms!
snipe. The gyms can snipe. Like, they might be our top line. So,
I mean, that's why you guys send them in, so.
who else? Fish. Fish is so good. Fish is so good.
The ugly mug?
He's so good. Jacob. Yeah, exactly. And he's my line mate, so I'm very lucky, like in that regard. So, as long as someone can skate and I can dish the puck to him, like we're laughing in my mind. So
I was gonna ask
That's only
about
2,
just
but
sorry. You can, if you have a
Shoresy.
third one, go ahead.
Yeah.
he's our leading scorer right now, I think. Like so far in 2 games. So yeah.
Okay, that counts.
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of what I was just going to pivot to, like not the actual skill, but the skill. When I was a kid, my mom would send me off with my skates and say, don't come back till it's dark. Like we would just go find a rink and skate around, but I'm not good at hockey. I'm good at skating. I didn't really play hockey growing up. I didn't stick handle. The skill level, and I know you guys have done this before, but when you actually match up against alum, are you impressed? Are you like, what's that feeling of we can play with these guys?
I'm going to speak for myself because the rest of the guys have done it. Like, they do it so well. I'm like getting new skates and a month before thinking I'm trying to be cool or something. Like, it's just a bad move. Just use your old skates. Anyway, I chirp myself because all the guys, I think I'm kind of living through it a lot of the ways like a fan would. I'm just enjoying the heck out of myself. I don't know how else to say it. And as an actor, as someone who's been a good close friend of Jared too, to be able to share this experience together and do these games and also have this new season coming out on Christmas in Canada. It's really special. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love seeing the emotion on all of it, but you mentioned another season coming in. Did you expect this show? Did you expect this project to become everything that it has turned into? And I also have to ask, it's kind of twofold. If you were today, like an enforcer in the NHL, would you have the chirping capability of Shoresy? I'm just so curious because the guy's one-liners, anything that he comes up with at the speed of light is just insanity.
I would like to think that I could only chirp because that's probably all I would do. Yeah, I don't have anything to back that up. But yeah, it's yeah. I would only be a lippy little guy, I think. I don't fit in there. Yeah. I'm just very, 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 very lucky to be playing like as a forward in these games too and not playing goalie. Like it's pretty fortunate opportunity. So yeah.
Well, Garden Ice is obviously iconic, and I know you're playing in a lot of Original Six buildings. I was a big Steve Yzerman fan myself growing up, so I totally get that. I thought he was cute, though. I don't know if you thought he was cute. That was the difference. I was like, oh, he's so cute.
Not
so
quite,
that was
yeah.
That was a bit different.
He's got a great tan. I respect Stevie. He looks great, man. He looks great.
Very handsome. Very handsome. Okay, we are going to let you go. We're going to send it to break, but I want to pump up one more time. Sunday, Shoresy Classic. This is the second time you're doing it in Boston, correct?
Second time, but we're at TD Garden now.
TD Garden. Tickets still on sale. The hype is real. You guys the show is fantastic. And you're going to have so much fun against the Bruins alumni. They're a great group of guys. Thanks for taking the time to be on our show. Like Kasey said, it's so nice to see that you're genuinely just like having the time of your life, as you should. You deserve it, and I hope you have so much fun on Sunday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. That goes two ways. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll have a great time Sunday. We're going to send it to break here. Kasey and I are going to be back. We're going to preview the New Jersey Devils game against the Bruins on Saturday. We'll be right back after this.
Love it. Go Jack Hughes. All right.
Go Jack.
I'm joking. Bye.
Welcome back into the Hockey Hub. What a fun conversation to get everyone ready for the Shoresy Classic. But pivoting from the Shoresy Classic back to the Bees, who will be taking on the Devils. We're bringing in Kristy Flannery of the Hockey News. You can catch great articles and content from my dear friend, Kristy. I can't say that about the Bruins and the Devils, but regardless, it's time for us to break down what to potentially expect tomorrow. Kristy, how's it going?
It's good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I'm so excited. I know that you were running to get to morning skate to get all the news, all the breakdowns. But first and foremost, we got to start on the note of this team, being your team, the Devils, looking for their first win since a showdown versus the Sabres. And they were able to shut out the Sabres, but just kind of had a bit of a skid since then. Injuries riddling this lineup like many other teams in the NHL right now. What's kind of the vibe with the Devils?
They need to get things back on track. I think what's interesting is you look at injuries and you're always going to gravitate to Jack Hughes. But I think it's important to note with Brett Pesce is that with him in the lineup, the team is 8-1-0, but without him, it's 8-9-1. And, you know, you talk about systems and trying to make adjustments when Jack Hughes is out of the lineup. But it's like Cody Glass said to me earlier, you know, you don't change the system for one guy. You have to just figure it out. And I think that's kind of where the team currently is at this point in time, is just trying to get back to what has made them successful.
Okay, I was going to piggyback off of that question. The Bruins' identity is definitely getting more physical, being tough to play against. Speed is important for every team in the NHL, but it's not their number one thing. And obviously defensive structure for the Bruins. I hear the Devils are a fast team, and that's what works. That's what works for them. So what is this identity that they're trying to go back to, or what is the thing that makes them successful? Is it mostly their speed, or what else are we looking at?
It is their speed. It's their rush game. It's the transition game. And you obviously are going to miss that when you don't have a Jack Hughes in the lineup. But you have guys like Jesper Bratt, who is so underrated as far as his skill set and his skating ability. And you have guys like Dawson Mercer, too, who have speed. So that definitely is still part of their game. It's definitely their identity. It's just lacking with the players that they have out of the lineup right now.
Oh, yeah. I saw a lot of emotion on the faces of the Devils players when Bratt got shaken up a couple of weeks ago. It was just kind of like a not again and no more. But I feel like there's a lot of underrated talent on that roster. I know I was hyped for Cody Glass to get into the mix over there because I watched him in Nashville. But to that point, getting back to an identity, sometimes you have to be versatile. And that adds a layer of issue on its own. Talk to me about the center depth and how everyone's trying to get resituated over there, because that's been the largest conversation around the Devils thus far.
Yeah, you talk to fans in New Jersey, they'd say they don't have center depth. But, for Dawson Mercer, basically since his first season in the NHL, he is the player that when Jack inevitably gets injured, he's going to move to center. He's been on record to say he prefers to play wing, but he understands that it's easier for him to just go into that position than to change the whole entire lineup. After him, you have Cody Glass and you have Luke Glendening. And I talked to Sheldon Keefe about Dawson at the center position, and he was kind of saying that, besides, the faceoffs and the defensive coverage, it's not really the position. It's more about the player's game. And then you have guys like Cody Glass who say, faceoffs are hard in the NHL. And he goes, there are guys like me, like Luke Glendening, who that's where we make a living, is being successful in the faceoffs. I think Dawson's done a good job considering that he got thrown into this position. He had a really hot start on wing, slowed down offensively a little bit, but he's holding his own. And at this point, this is what the team needs from him. Like, they need him to have that versatility, and thank God he does.
From what I understand, he's also stepped up into a leadership role since Hughes has been out. What's he like in the room? And young guy, 24 years old, I believe. What's he like in the room as a leader, as a voice on the ice as well?
Yeah, Dawson is, I always say this in the best way possible. He has just golden retriever energy. Like, he's the guy that keeps things upbeat. I think he's a bigger part of that locker room than I think some people realize. And, you want to come into your own. I think for some people it takes a little bit more time. I know for the Devils, if you want to talk the vocal guys in the room, it's, Brendan Dillon, Connor Brown, and the goaltenders, Jake Allen and Jacob Markstrom as well. But you definitely could see the importance of Dawson Mercer to the room and to the guys in that room.
Sticking with Dylan for just a second there, because I love a good social clip that shows us the human side of the guys, and that's the most important part. But milestone for him just recently. And then what'd you guys do? Like, sneak in a picture of him as a kid at the same time? Like, what was that emotion for a guy who has a very intimidating presence on the ice, by the way?
Yeah, the team reporter had some pictures from his childhood that I guess it just hit Dylan right. And I think you guys can speak to this as well, as we live in a world where, it's always hockey cliches and almost sometimes robotic responses. And it's so great to see that raw emotion and to see a player just really appreciate the journey and everything, the highs and lows of everything that they've gone through. And it was a great moment for Dylan. And, he's this, physical presence, this aggressive guy on the ice. But I think, as you both realize, when you're with these guys, they're usually the biggest sweethearts off the ice. And that's Brendan Dillon. He's the nicest human being, not just to media, but to security guards in the arena, workers. And you're really happy for a guy to reach that milestone. And when I saw him this morning, he was just saying about how for that ceremony that they had last game, he hopes that it's something that his kids can remember. So it's just, again, it's that human element of celebrating these milestones and including your family with it, 'cause it's a big moment for them.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny how some of the meanest guys on the ice or the tough guys are the nicest people. I had the worst impression of Brad Marchand before I joined the team 6 years ago. I was like, oh boy, what am I getting myself into? And in 2 seconds, I was like, oh no, he's my favorite person ever. And it's remained my favorite person ever. So no, I love that. And I love that they turn it on to play the game of hockey, and then they're so passionate about it. And that's why they find their success, because they kind of play that character role. Pivoting just a little bit about you guys being outscored. I had the stat pulled up here, 13-6 over the last 3 games. You guys have lost 3 in a row. Is there any sense of frustration? What's your take on why the offense is drying up? Or maybe, I know goaltending has been just kind of average, you'd say. Is that more of the issue?
I think that for right now, when you have a guy like Jack who plays 24 minutes a night, has the game on his stick a majority of the time, when he's out, the one thing that becomes glaring is the depth of the team. And in the 10 games that Jack has not played, the depth players, so the third and fourth line, have only combined for 3 goals. So I think that's something that is becoming more apparent, that you're going to need more from those depth players, guys like Stefan Nason and Paul Cotter and Cody Glass, Connor Brown. And it's not to say that these guys aren't contributing in other ways, whether it's the penalty kill, power play, or faceoffs, but you need to see more offensive production, because right now the team's heavily been leaning on Nico Hischier, who has 13 points in 10 games. Timo Meier was on a 6-game point streak, but you need more when you lose somebody of the caliber of Jack Hughes.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what you said earlier. Like, what's required of you changes when you're trying to overcome all of these injuries and adversity. Because I remember, I was in Jersey with you last year, the high of watching Nason and Cotter and what they brought to the table and how quickly Devils fans bought in. But then your role changes, and then you don't get much of an adjustment period. But something you and I do have in common: defending goaltenders to a degree. You mentioned Markstrom and Allen being vocal leaders. So what have you seen from them in a leadership role, for one? For two, how they continue to remain leaders when, maybe the goaltending isn't there every single night and it's not always on their shoulders?
I think with the goaltending tandem that New Jersey has, is what you can take comfort in is these are 2 veterans. They know what they need, they know what they want, and they're confident in their abilities and who they are. And Sheldon's talked for a while about Jake and Jacob being vocal leaders. And again, I talked to Cody about this morning, who's had a couple stops in the NHL before coming to New Jersey, and he said that he's never actually experienced that, because he goes, usually goaltenders kind of doing their own thing, they're in their own little world. And he said, but, it's great. And he appreciates that, those 2 are so vocal, because he said, they're a massive and huge, important part of this team. And you want to hear from them. You want to know what they have to say. So I think it's great. And I also am learning that I guess it's a little unique when it comes to the NHL.
Have you had enough time? I do most of my research, like especially with the condensed schedule. I'm not looking 2 games ahead. I'm looking 1 game ahead. So I don't know if you've had enough time to look at the Bruins, but if not, that's okay. On top of your mind, do you have any keys for beating the Bruins for the Devils to get back into the win column?
I haven't. I take it 1 game at a time. So I will say that to preface it. I think that with Boston, the Devils always have a hard time against Boston. I feel like they're one of those teams that kind of always have the Devils number. So you already kind of have that against you. But I feel like Boston surprised some people this year. And you guys can please correct me if I'm wrong. But I just think that, for them that I don't know with the Devils if it's their opponents beating them as much as it's them beating themselves. So I think it's more important for them to really get back to their game and what makes them successful. And you'll always hear a coach say that, right? Like, we have to focus on our game, not the opposition's game. Yes, you watch the video and all of those things. But I think for New Jersey, they need to get back to their identity and not necessarily worry about what their opposition's doing, because they have to stop beating themselves, if that's a respectable answer.
Yeah, well, and the simplification of things. I feel like whenever there's so much going on, players tend to complicate it and not be able to stick to the simplicity of their game. But a huge facet of this is obviously Jack Hughes. You mentioned him beforehand. I just have to ask the question, because every time he comes out of the lineup, this team does have to kind of revamp themselves. And at this point, is there a better way for Jack Hughes to protect himself? Because he wants to be on the ice. No player likes being sidelined, regardless of what the scenario is. And this is another season where, Jack has to kind of wait for his moment to get back in and be there with his team.
I think this is a great question. And I actually talked to some other people in New Jersey. And before he got injured in Chicago, I think that what you saw from Jack was he was more aware of his play. Because I think you look back at his injuries and you think, is there a way for him to play that he's not putting himself in those vulnerable positions? And I think before the injury, you started to see that a little bit. You saw that he was trying to adapt to a style where he still is who he is. He's still true to the star power that he is, but he's not putting himself in many vulnerable positions on the ice, which I think, he's still young. You're still trying to figure all of that out. And with the injuries and everything that he's gone through, I think it's really important for him to continue on that path to kind of say, okay, I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to do what makes me successful, but I have to do it in maybe a smarter way and kind of use that hockey IQ. His hockey IQ is so high, but just use it to his advantage that he could be able to stay healthy and play more than 62, 63 games this season.
Yeah, obviously this one was a freak accident, so like a bit of a, different story. But on that note too, and this is like my ignorance, so this question might not apply at all. And I understand in Kasey's questions of like how to play smarter and protect yourself. But for example, is there for the Bruins, there's a third liner, Fraser Minton. He's a young center, and he's kind of, his wings are really protecting him. So I know we're not talking exactly about protection in terms of having room at the puck and et cetera, but are his line mates normally guys that allow Jack to play the way he needs to play?
So Jack has the most chemistry with Jesper Bratt. I think those two have the most chemistry by far on the team, and they're very successful together. I think the challenge is that, the Devils need a top left winger to play with Jack. On paper, it looked like Timo Meier was going to be that guy. He made a lot of sense on paper, but when you put them together, for some reason, they just don't really complement each other. But what you do see is you have Sheldon Keefe putting guys like Stefan Nason with Jack, Dodonov, who else? Andre Palat. And what those three guys are able to do is they can, get the puck off of the boards and kind of open up space for Jack. And I think that that's an important quality that you want playing alongside Jack Hughes. And I think that's why you see the guys that you do on this roster with him, is because they can kind of do the dirty work and do the small little details that everyone loves hearing about to open up ice and let Jack and Bratt just go and do their thing.
Yeah, you see those lanes that Bratt can create, and Jack Hughes loves a moment to connect. I saw a few of them last season. Before we close out with a fun question, because of course we got to get a quick Team Tate or not. With everything taking place right now, do you feel like there's going to be added pressure for this team come to the trade deadline, or are they just going to stick to what they know this team can be when everybody is healthy?
It's funny, I just wrote about this. I think that when you have a team that's in a win now mode, I think sitting on your hands and not doing anything could be just as hurtful as taking a risk and maybe making a trade that doesn't pan out. And I think for the Devils, I don't think Tom Fitzgerald really has made a flashy move at the trade deadline the past couple of seasons. And you can argue it's because they were without Jack Hughes, and the idea of selling a lot and giving a lot up for a team that doesn't have that star power. But I think you have to take a risk. You have to at least show your core that you believe in them with or without Jack Hughes. So I think that you need to do something of significance at the trade deadline to just send a message to your team that you believe in them.
Really quick too, before Kasey gets to the Tate question, the Bruins have so many silly rumors that when outsiders come in, I'm like, no, there's no truth to that. So if I sound dumb, I'm sorry, but is there any truth to going all in for Quinn Hughes? That's some one question.
Everybody's piping on about it.
I mean, a brother saying that they want to play with their brothers, I feel like it's just like you expect that to a certain degree. Like, I think it would be the concern if Quinn's like, no, I have zero interest in playing with Jack and Luke. I think that I don't know how you're going to make it work financially. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what the timeline would be. It does make sense. It does seem like that would be the most likely marriage. It just makes sense. But I guess we'll just see what happens there. But yeah, I think Quinn saying he wants to play with his brothers, I felt that was taken a little out of context. I was like, of course he does, guys. Like this isn't like, that's what you expect him to say.
Yeah,
Totally.
It's a once in a lifetime thing. If I was asked if I want to play with my sisters, it's a no for me. But I also just asked my parents over Thanksgiving if they're too old to put up for adoption. I don't know if you can see. I've got on a USA Olympic situation. There's a hockey dude on my back. Anyhow, is Tate McRae a mole? I have to know. I went to her concert. I support her. I'm a fan. But if she is here trying to do things and distract Jack Hughes, we have a problem on our hands. Are you Team Tate?
I mean, who's not Team Tate in 2025, right? Like, don't we all love Tate McRae? That's hilarious. It's just so funny. I'm like, of all the storylines that could happen to New Jersey, Tate McRae was not on my bingo card, but here we are. So hopefully, listen, if she's down here in the tunnel, I will absolutely be making my way to go say hi.
Yeah, and you're super close with all the security guards over there as well, so you'll have the scoop. We'll have you on soon enough if you see Tate sneaking in for Jack's return. Kristy, thank you so much for taking the time to join Sophia and myself. Make sure you guys check out her work over at the Hockey News. It's fantastic, from writing to content creation and so much more. Big fan of yours, Kristy, and hopefully we'll have you back quite soon.
Thank you, guys. This was lovely. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, from Shoresy to previewing the Bees and the Devils, and hopefully the Bees can continue to stay hot and we see the guys make a case to remain on this roster. We got to get into some spilling the Bees. It's time to see what's in the headphones or the playlist, and one guy in particular shared with me the fact that he's Apple versus Spotify. All that and more right here on the Hockey Hub with Sophia and myself on the other side of this quick break.
Who's going to be your top Spotify artist this year?
Last year was Diplo. Let's see, this year will be Taylor Swift.
Apple Music guy, but I will go probably Zach Bryan.
Nickelback, they never miss.
I listen to the Slovakian rap, so this guy Ritmus, and then if we go to some of the nice DJs, I still like, just going with Tiesto or something that usually gets me pumped up. I don't listen, usually I just listen to radio, but on the game days I go with something like Tiesto songs to kind of wake up from the nap and get excited for the game.
I'm like all over the place. Rihanna.
I'm a big hip hop guy, so like all the classic hip hop artists like Future and Travis Scott and all those guys.
Maybe Eminem?
Eminem? Okay.
Am I gonna get canceled for that too?
No, someone else said Eminem, so you're good.
NBA Youngboy.
I've been more into country lately, probably more than I would like to be. Like Thomas Rhett, I used to listen to a lot of Eric Church, obviously Morgan Wallen, so a little bit of everything.
Probably Morgan Wallen.
Probably Morgan Wallen.
Maybe like a Morgan Wallen.
I saw him in Miami this summer.
I don't know, probably like Modern Talking or something. Yeah, Boney M or ABBA, like something old school. Yeah, I like that stuff, yeah.
I love it. If I could reach out, high five you.
High five.
Okay, high five.
Digital.
This Finnish artist called Ibe. I think that's been listening to lots of his music. It's like a Finnish rap.
I would say Bruce Springsteen, Fleetwood Mac, and there'll be a bunch of Finnish artists, so I don't know who's the third one is, but some Finnish artists for sure.
I usually go through like the albums that suggests you what you should listen to, but I think The Neighborhood I like. That's kind of like my vibe. Or Noah Khan. That's I really like his music.
I listen to a lot of different ones, but maybe like Chris Stapleton or Old Dominion. I've actually really been liking Noah Kahan or whatever his name is. He's been good. I kind of switch it up a lot, but it would be a lot of like country or low-key music like that.
I also think Patrick Brown said Noah Khan.
Noah Khan.
It's a little weird. Okay, you guys are really close. What's your birthday?
May 29th.
And his emergency.
Look at that.
You guys are BFFs already. I don't remember that end. I think they were just like eerily similar, but that was kind of cute.
I love your face when you go, it's kind of weird.
Kind of weird because I think they're each other's emergency contact, and we're not doing these interviews at the same time, like the same artist, same birthday. Kind of weird, but cool.
Weird stuff. All right, so.
Okay, so you're an Apple girly, apparently.
I am on Team Fraser Mitten. I don't know why. I think it was just because like I went from the whole iPod thing, and then I already had so many playlists curated there that like when Apple Music became a thing, it just perfectly pulled it over. So it does the same fun recapping stuff as the Spotify folks. Don't worry, we know exactly what we've been binging on.
Okay, that's so funny because first of all, I like Apple everything except Apple Music, and I think I'm not alone. I think like so many Apple users love Spotify. I'm not a Google phone. I'm not a Samsung phone. I don't like non-Apple products, but it's the one app that just to me stinks. So I'm sorry. I couldn't get into it.
I don't know. I love it, but like I said, if you see my playlist, it's insanity. Like I'm very much a moody music listener. I mean, my recap of the year is pretty mental.
What was your rap? Okay, so your top or whatever in general. Tell me if it gave you an age or just genres. Like, what was your rap for Apple?
My top artists were Morgan Wallen, Kings of Leon, Rolling Stones, Tate McRae, Fred Again, Evgeny Grinko, Jimi Hendrix, And then this guy Jutes that I discovered, but legit went ham on listening to everything that he's ever put out. He's actually from Toronto, by the way. And
Cool.
if The Used and Post Malone and Black Bear had a baby, this is Jordan
cool.
Jutes. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay.
So those were my top guys. But yeah, it goes across the board because Evgeny Grinko is classical. I grew up on a lot of really, really old school country music like Brooks and Dunn and stuff like that. So Morgan Wallen, you and I both went to his concert.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes. Morgan was, for me, one of my like biggest pop ones, which was top 5, was Post Malone, which I just love Post Malone.
You
And
do?
I think-
Okay, you'd like Jutes
yeah,
then.
love him. I'm gonna, is it Jute?
Jutes, yes.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go on a walk after this, and I have to. I'll take a listen to Jutes. But my thing that I loved is the age that they rap, and then the different genres. So it said I listened to over 326 different genres. Where I'm like, are there 326 music genres? I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I've listened
I
to
think-
843 different artists, supposedly.
Okay, see, that's cool. Like, I'm a big variety person. My mom and dad were born in the 40s, actually. They're a lot older. So they have like 50s and 60s that I grew up with. So I love that kind of vibe. And then I'm like, I'm all over the place. Country, pop, punk, old, I don't know if you want old school, whatever it is, rap. I love rap. So I liked seeing the different genres and the moods that I was in. And my listening age, which I'm so disappointed in, is 21. And I'm like, wait, I'm listening to 50s music. How am I a 21 listening age? Some of my friends' listening ages were like 83. I think it's a little skewed, but like, whatever. It's kind of cool to see.
I was going to say, if I had to guess mine, because like, I did grow up on a lot of Rolling Stones and like Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that, so my age would definitely be up there, but I'm not sure because when I'm really moody, like it's Jutes, it's The Used, it's Block Party, it's Chemical Romance. Like I go right back to 13-year-old Case who painted her mom's shed and thought she could start a band in the backyard by herself. That's a story for another day.
Okay, we'll save it because we got 30 seconds left. But great show today. We got some updates. If you're just tuning in, McAvoy talked today. You can find that sound on Nesson's YouTube. And David Pastrnak skated without the team. Tomorrow, they're taking on the New Jersey Devils. Join us for pregame at 6 o'clock, puck drop at 7 at the Garden. Kasey and Adam will be back on Monday. Have a good weekend, everyone.